Hey guys, Taki here. As many of you know, I've been on a long quest to try and find the best handheld gaming systems on the market. As many of you also know, the sub $100 market has been stagnant for far too long. We have seen so many clones of the same hardware in this price range over the last year with only minor differences, but we finally have something that could really shake things up. For the last few weeks, I've been testing out this little guy, the Retroid Pocket 2 Plus. Leading up to the launch of this product, I've done numerous extended plays on my second channel covering a ton of emulation that is not currently possible on comparable handhelds. Those performance tests speak for themselves, and I encourage you to take a look at them on Taki 2. In this first look video, I want to focus on the software side of this handheld because it's one of the most exciting aspects of this product. Before that, let's go over the specs. The Retroid Pocket 2 Plus comes with a Unisoc T310 CPU with one Cortex A75 core clocked at 2 GHz and 3 A55 cores clocked at 1.8 GHz. It has a GE 8300 GPU clocked at 800 MHz, and it comes with 2 GB of LPDDR4X RAM clocked at 1336 MHz. For storage, we have 32 GB of eMMC storage with support for an additional 1 TB of storage with an SD card, but I still need to verify that for myself. The 2 Plus uses a 4000 mAh battery coupled with a 3.5-inch touchscreen IPS display with a resolution of 640 by 480. For connectivity, we have dual-band Wi-Fi and Bluetooth 4.0. The biggest standout in this spec sheet is the fairly interesting CPU package. Typically in the sub $100 price range, handhelds are using Cortex A7s, A35s, or A53s. While clocked very low, the Cortex A75 is the same technology used in the Snapdragon 845, and it's significantly more powerful than the aforementioned Cortex platforms. Just to put things into perspective, let's take a look at some CPU benchmarks. First, we have the Retroid Pocket 2 with a single-core score of 51 and a multi-core score of 105. Up from here, based on single-core scores, we have the GPD XD Plus with a single-core score of 294 and a multi-core score of 793, the Deca-core Original i7 with a single-core score of 366 and a multi-core score of 1067, the Retroid Pocket 2 Plus with a single-core score of 369 and a multi-core score of 739, the X18S with a single-core score of 370 and a multi-core score of 1215, and finally the i7S with a single-core score of 394 and a multi-core score of 1462. The only score we're missing here is the RK3326, used in basically everything in the market right now. It has a single-core score of 86 and a multi-core score of 250. What we have here is my original black RP2 T0 shell with a 2 Plus PCB that I swapped over. I did a full video on this on Taki 2 showing off the PCB swap, and the original RP2 PCB that I used for the last year now lives inside this acrylic consoleized case. It has a power adapter which allows it to be used without a battery, and it can function with HDMI out and a connected controller. This device does not have a touchscreen, but that's fine. I like this screen, and I'm used to using this without touch, so it's not a problem for me. It has a prototype D-pad and ABXY set of buttons that are thicker than retail, although they have completely changed these for the RP2 Plus, so it doesn't matter. My other RP2 Plus was also built by hand, but it was way more involved than the simple swap guide that I filmed. Retroid recently started to sell some replacement parts on their website, but there are a lot of color options that I wish were available for things like buttons and shells that have now been discontinued. This is a Funtastic grape shell that is now discontinued, and it's a color option that I only saw for the first time in person a few weeks ago. This was a shell used for color verification that was sitting in a trash pile before I built this. It uses limited edition gray buttons that came with the first Indigo RP2 orders. I've also added gray rubber caps on the 2 joysticks to better match the colors. It isn't the same color, but it's close enough. I also went ahead and installed the touchscreen that they are now selling. The biggest difference, however, is that this board is using dome switches from the original RP2. The retail version of the RP2 Plus is supposed to use thicker conductive rubber buttons that I've been told will be just like the ones used in RG devices, but I won't be able to verify that claim for myself for at least another week. It's kind of a shame because the original RP2 D-pad got a big upgrade available this week that improves the feeling drastically. If you are a person that thought the original D-pad was too stiff, the new rubber pad is so thin and soft, and it is an amazing cheap upgrade that is hard not to recommend at $1. Now that we have all of that out of the way, let's focus on one of the most significant improvements in the RP2 Plus compared to the original device. What we're going to do now is boot the device into the new launcher and explore some of the new features. Once we are booted, you will see the blank canvas launcher. I've already gone ahead and made a profile, but I'll show off what that looks like right now. Go to the top corner and click on the circle to bring up a window that allows you to pick a profile picture. I've already gone ahead and put my selfie on the device, and I can also change my name to whatever I want, but I'm going to keep it as Taki. At the bottom, you'll see that there's an option to add new apps, and I'm going to open this to start adding some applications to the launcher. I'm going to go through and pick my emulators first because I want them to be at the beginning of my apps list. After that, I'm going to start adding some Android games and some standard applications that I want to use. This is just a demo, and I can always come back here to add more applications if I want, or remove ones that I don't want to see anymore. As you can see, we have a 2x2 grid that we can scroll through with either the analog stick or D-pad, and we also have a page indicator at the bottom. You can also swipe through this list if you have a touchscreen, but I prefer to use the joystick. Right now, this menu is very simple by design. You can click on any app that you want and it will open right away, and you can also back out of any app or press the home button to go right back to the launcher, with the cool thing being that it remembers your last position. In the main launcher view, you can also press on the clock in the corner to free up some available RAM. The cool thing here is the emulation section, and this is a game changer. Click on emulation and you will be at a new blank canvas again with a slightly different UI. We're going to start by going to Systems, and we will have a grid of systems that we can select from to add to our emulation menu. I have noticed from my testing that there are some options missing here, like Sega Saturn for example, but this is what was currently available using the beta firmware. I'm going to start by just going through and adding some systems that I want to add to this device and then confirm with OK. After I hit OK, all of the systems that I've selected are added as a scrolling row like the Switch. If you use Emulation Station, something like this should be very familiar to you. The names of the systems are on top of the artwork, and you can scroll through this list with either the joystick or your finger, just like the main launcher. If I go into a system, you'll see that there are no games added. You'll also notice that there is a button label at the bottom of the screen telling you what A and B do. If you back out, you'll be back into the main system again, but it isn't that fluid right now, and I hope that they improve this in the future. Especially when we're talking about the RP2, people always wonder about setup time, so right now I'm going to go through adding games to this custom launcher. I've prepared some games for this video, and we're going to start with Game Boy. Once you're inside a system, you will see there's a button at the bottom labeled ROMs. Click on that and then go to Add, and you will see a list of storage options. You can pick from internal storage or your SD card, but I have put all of my games on my testing SD card. I'll also mention that even though many companies, including Retroid, flout copyright law, this product does not come with any ROMs, and this should be the rule and not the exception in this market. I'm going to navigate to my GB folder and select it, and finish off by going to the Select option at the bottom. Now I have the path directory for my GB ROMs that I will use in this video. I need to select that path and then go down to the Scan option. It will scan the ROMs and add them to the list view, as well as start the process of downloading box art from the internet. I've only added a few games for this system, so the entire process finishes very quickly. As you can see, I have my 6 GB games with their beautiful box art. The artwork also lends itself very well to the aspect ratio of the current layout, but not every system looks this good right now. Let's do the same thing, but this time we'll configure GBC. In the same way, I'm going to path over to my RP2 test folder on my SD card and go to the GBC folder. As you can see, one of my box arts was not automatically downloaded, and I'm left with this P with a circle around it. I can hold my finger down on the game to get a pop-up window that I can use to correct this issue. I'm going to go to the box cover option, and I have 3 different ways of fixing this box art issue. The easiest one would be to use Google Images, but I didn't configure my VPN on this device, so I need to use the GamesDB option instead. It will open up a page inside a browser, and I have to manually download the picture that I want to use. Once it is downloaded, the artwork will correctly populate when I go back to the launcher. When you are adding a bigger collection of ROMs, there is a nice UI element that allows you to monitor the progress at a glance. The system isn't perfect right now, and sometimes it will get the ROM name wrong, but in each case, there is a manual way that you can resolve issues. In this example of SNES, I'm going to simply ignore the missing ROMs so I can deal with them later. This allows me to clean up the UI a bit for this showcase, and it is easy to do. I've gone ahead and configured the rest of my test ROMs off camera, and this is what everything looks like when it's all put together. If you own an RP2, I think it's really easy to see how much of an improvement this is in terms of usability, with a lot of extra quality of life improvements that can be made through OTA updates and before the time that this starts to ship out to people. When you finally pick a game to play, all you need to do is go to it and press the A button to have it open up inside one of your installed emulators. In this example, I'm going to use Super Mario 64, which will open inside RetroArch. When we talk about Android systems, it does not get more user-friendly than this. As a quick note, I want to also point out that the right stick now provides analog values, as you can see on screen now. The sensitivity needs to be dialed in a bit more based on my testing so far, but it does work as it should. That's going to be it for this first look, focusing on the new launcher interface and functionality. In my personal opinion, this is one of the biggest improvements in this new product, and it raises the bar for what customers should expect in the budget segment of this market. A launcher like this is something that I've been asking companies to make on Android for a very long time, and I have to tell you, it put a very big smile on my face to finally see it come to life. Let me know your thoughts down below, and if you enjoyed this showcase, please support my work by leaving a like or a comment down below. It means a lot. If there's something else that you'd like to see in a future video, you can leave those down below and I'll focus on them in a follow-up. Happy gaming, everyone. Taki out.